I know I'm a little bit late, but I figured I'd review this game in case anyone was still on the fence about buying it. Before we really dive into this, I should probably warn you guys that this is going to be a spoiler-heavy review, so if you're one of those people who plays Mario games for the story, this video might not be for you. Super Mario All-Stars is 4 remakes in one game. There are obvious upgrades such as the visuals, soundtrack, and new backgrounds, as well as other nice features like being able to save and sound effects echoing in caves. Now, without further ado, let's start talking about each of the games individually. Super Mario Bros. It's a rather simple game. So simple, in fact, that I don't have much to say about it. It's fun though. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, the game that inspired 90% of the Mario Maker community. It introduced some new gimmicks, most of which sucked. And even if they don't suck the first time they're used, another horrible gimmick is added on top of it later to make sure that the players aren't having too much fun. A lot of people know about the poison mushroom and act like Nintendo was so savage for putting it in an official Mario game, but I think that the worst idea they had was a mandatory hidden block in World 8-3. I had to look up a walkthrough just to learn how to beat this level. I'm usually against using one of those for puzzle games because it feels like an insult to my intelligence, but it's even worse when I have to use one on a 2D platformer where you can't even move backwards. Dying will happen frequently, but luckily the All-Stars version lets you save after every level. Even still, the only people who will get joy from this game are masochists. Super Mario Bros. 2. I'll start this segment by establishing that I think this is a better game than the first Super Mario Bros., but I don't like it as much. It went a little bit too far with fixing the simplicity of Mario. Right off the bat, you have 4 characters with different strengths rather than 2 who do the same thing. Mario is easiest to control, Luigi can jump highest, Peach uses her dress as a parachute, and Toad makes the player grateful that there are 3 other options. Enemies don't die when they're jumped on. Instead, they either have to have a vegetable or other enemy thrown at them. I prefer just stomping on enemies and only having to move from left to right, but I could see why some people would like this game and think it gets slept on in comparison to other games like Super Mario Bros. 3. This is the first video game that I remember ever playing, so I may be a bit biased, but I think it's better than the other 3 games. There are 8 worlds, each with their own distinct theme and map. It's a pretty big game, but with the ability to save, beating the game no longer requires the warp whistles or leaving your system on for a week and hoping it doesn't crash. I would go into each world individually, but that would have to be its own video, so I'll just go over 3. World 4 used to be my favorite because the map looks like a tropical island, and the massive enemies and blocks were unique. Looking back on it now though, the enemies look kinda goofy, which is a nice way of saying ugly. World 7 is the worst part of this game. Somebody over at Nintendo had a pipe fetish, and they were not afraid to show it. I, for one, do not take pleasure in entering these pipes. They usually lead to some random location and create annoying mazes, not to mention you never know when a piranha plant's just gonna come out and eat you up. While I'm complaining, I may as well mention the airships. Autoscores aren't my favorite, and I would prefer to have regular castles at the end of each world. I know this is going to sound hypocritical given what I literally just said, but World 8 is my favorite world. Sure, there are some auto-scrolling levels, and yes, some of them look like a 5-year-old's artistic interpretation of D-Day, but there were some other good ideas outside of these. First off, this is definitely the hardest world, as it should be. The forest level has one of the best aesthetics, and it really fits the tone of the end of the game. There are 3 short levels in this world that are possible to bypass, but it's entirely based on luck. You have 2 options, either try your hardest and beat the stage that you get stuck on, or die and hope you slip past without getting caught. I like to do the second one. This world also features the best boss in the entire collection, Mario's worst enemy, the iconic, spiky-shelled, Boom Boom. Poop joke! In conclusion, Super Mario Bros. 3 is the best Mario game that is a 2D platformer that is part of the Super Mario All-Stars collection. Please leave a comment rating my review on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 means, wow, this is the most accurate description of this game I've ever heard, and 10 is, was this written by IGN? You're welcome for making this video, and goodbye.